Hello, this is Ray Fowler. I'm here to record another video to give you everyone an update on the latest status of Remnants of the Precursors. I'm going to call it Remnants. Remnants of the Precursors is kind of a mouthful. Sometimes I wonder why I gave it such a long name, but it is what it is. So, the first thing, which is the most important, I just started a new game here, and you can see there's this awesome new screen. Since the last video, I actually went out and found a graphic designer, and she is in the process of redesigning all of the GUIs, all of the UIs. Uh, the intent is still to retain the spirit and the feel of the original game, but to update the look. And as you can see here, for example, you've got a navigation bar down here at the bottom. Everything is in the same place as it was in the original game. You've got this system display view over here, but everything looks so much nicer. So the map controls, for example, have moved over here to the left. You can do all this stuff with the map controls or whatever. So I'm very happy with how it's coming out so far. My strategy has always been when I bring somebody new to the project, whether it's the artist or the writer or whatever, I always look for someone who's never played Master of Orion. I actually want somebody to come into this with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of expectations. So, for example, when she was designing these UIs, I had to explain to her where everything was, what happened, right? So, and then she redesigned things in a way that made a lot more sense. Uh, for a very simple example, for example, the old relocate button is called set rally point now because in 1993 they weren't called rally points, but now everybody calls them rally points. So it doesn't make sense to keep the old name. So not all of the screens are done. It's still a work in progress. So you're going to see a lot of things that are still in the old style. For example, if I go to the text screen, for example, that's still the old style. There's still a lot of work to do, even on this main screen up here in the front. So what I'm going to do is just play a couple rounds here real quick so you can see how some of the screens look. I'm going to send out some scouts. So you can see here it's year 299, although that's going to vary by each race. Each race is going to start with a different year. And if you don't like that, you can just come over here and click on it and it'll show turns instead if you'd rather just see turns. Some people prefer either way. So let me hit next turn. So you can see, here we go. We're going to get a scouting notification. Oops, looks like we found an artifact planet. Not relevant. Okay, so here's the scouting notification. So look at what's happened here. All of the screen is grayed out except for the planet that you're scouting, and the map is also zoomed out to a certain level so you have full context. And that display screen that was over here is temporarily gone, and you can see everything about this planet from here. You can hit click to continue, and now we get this one here. So this is the artifact planet. So I'm going to switch this back to the years. So now if you look at this here, this is if you can see what's over here, this is the home world. And here's like an uncolonized planet. And notice down here at the bottom, there's the range specifier is always at the bottom. If it's in green, that means it's in range, you can reach it with regular ships. If it's yellow, it'll say, oh, reserve fuel tanks required. So that's something that's not in the original game, but it's very helpful for a new player to go, oh, I need reserve fuel tanks. So when I build something over here, I need to make sure that if I want to get there, it has to be a ship with reserve fuel tanks. So, and of course, over here, if it's red, it's out of range. None of your ships can reach it. So let me send my colony ship over here. Send the scout ship over here. And let's just send him over here. We're not going to play too much. I'm just demonstrating a couple of the things here. So let's see. Let's get that ship over there. And here's the colonization. Oh, that's another scouting prompt. Sorry. So there's a minimal system here. And now, do you want to build a colony? Yes or no? So if you say yes, you go to the colonization screen. I'm going to skip it. Now this right here, I should have shown all of that. This is the actually the silicoid ship animation. The Darloks are still in work. I don't have the ships for me yet, but that's how the silicoid ship looks. So right now, a lot of the Darlok stuff is showing silicoid graphics. So now let me build a ship here just so you can see. So I'm gonna, oh, but you can mouse wheel all this stuff too, which is really nice. And you can even mouse wheel the number of bases you want, right? You don't need to click if you don't want to. So I'm gonna build 3 scouts this turn just to show you what the ship construction dialog looks like. So there we go. So this is the new fleet production summary. You can have up to 6 ships because you have 6 designs. So they'll show up here, and that's what that's going to look like. And let's see, the last thing I want to show you on the new UI, I think I'm going to show the Darloks. So since I picked the Darloks here, if I put a bunch of research in here and hit next turn, the Darlok scientist will come up and ask me what I want. And you'll also, okay, I'll just do it. Oh, turns out I've met some Sakura first. This is the Sakura race. Apparently this is a diplomatic contact. Okay, here we go. Here's the scientist. So this is the Darlok scientist. So this is the standard thing where you want to pick it. This area here, this is eventually all going to get replaced. This has always been a placeholder for picking what you want to research. And this text here, this is going to get replaced too. So this is all going to get reworked. This box here is probably going to be artwork. It's not going to be a GUI that I draw. Let me click some stuff here. Get past this. Okay, so I think that's all I want to show you on the Darloks. I do have artwork for the Darlok diplomat, the soldier, the scientist, and the spy. I maybe could show you them. I'm not going to show you the spy. That's pretty cool. Here's what the diplomat looks like, the close-up of it. So let's see. What else do I want to talk about? There's other stuff I want to talk about. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is not really a game demonstration, but it's something I wanted to actually speak as opposed to, let's say, write a post. And basically, it's about the relationship of this game with the gamer community and of me with the gamer community. And I think there's been some confusion, and I just want to clarify it. So, for example, if there's stuff about this game that you don't like, please feel free to criticize. I want to make a really good game. So if you've got some legitimate criticism, I will listen to it. For example, I've received some criticism about how old the original UI looked, before. And finally that kind of made me break down and go find a graphic designer, to actually someone who can professionally design these screens. And I'm really glad I did that, and I think the game's going to be better for it. So I love criticism. I mean, I want to make a good game. However, I'm not really an indie game developer. I mean, there's a lot of indie game projects out there that are superficially similar to mine. There's More, there's Lord of Rigel. There's a lot of good ones that are completed, like Stars and Shadow, Polaris Sector, Star Drive. These are all Space 4X games, usually done by a very small group of people, 1 or 2, maybe 3 people. So in that sense, it's very similar to this game. But the relationship that you might have with them versus you would have with me is a lot different. With all those other games, you're like a potential customer, right? They're going to want to sell you the game. But you're not like a potential customer to me. This is a hobby. I have no intention of selling this game. So when you talk to me about this game, you have to remember that you're not a potential customer talking to somebody who's trying to sell you something. You're like a gamer talking to another gamer. We're like on the same level playing field. And in fact, this is my hobby. So if you give some criticism that's just really negative and not constructive, I could just tell you, well, kiss my ass, right? I mean, I don't mind constructive criticism, but I don't have to, put up with people who just want to complain because, this game is not doing something that they want to do, right? Which brings me up to another point. it's also going to be open sourced. So a lot of people, they go, oh, it's an open source game, right? And in fact, someone recently asked me, why don't you open source it now? And so I kind of gave a good reason for it, but I want to also make something clear about this. Even though this is an open source, or this game is going to be open sourced when it's done, this is not a collaborative project, right? I'm not open sourcing it because I want other people to help me write this game, right? This is my hobby. I'm a professional software developer, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And I'll certainly be happy to take input, but I pretty much want to write all of the code, you know. However, that said, I understand that there's no way that I can make a game that somebody else wants. All I'm doing is I'm making a game that I want. So when the game is done, I'm going to open source the code and let you guys have it, and then you can change it and do whatever you want. And there's not going to be any strings attached other than it's, copy left, right? You're not going to be able to take the game, make some changes and try to sell it or something like that. But so I'm kind of open sourcing it almost like just as a point of generosity. I don't have to, but I understand that a lot of people, would like to have access to the code, so I want to make it available. So, but I'm not going to open source it until it's done. For example, there's no ship combat in it yet, and so the code that's already written is going to go through a lot of churn when I'm writing the ship combat. And so there would be no point in me open sourcing it now because you couldn't really make any changes to it, right? You couldn't modify it because the code's going to change so much. So when it goes into beta and it's feature complete, it'll be open source. That's probably over a year away, but at least it's we're moving towards it. It's going to happen. So anyway, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is about a week ago I did some back of the envelope calculations, right? Where I tried to figure out, when is the next alpha going to be? So once the Darloks are finished, once all the artwork is done and it's integrated, and then we have to do all the GNN, the Galactic News Network screens, and there's going to be one for each race, so that'll be a little bit different than most games. And all the technology icons are done. For example, when you learn a technology, there's a little graphical icon that represents it. Those aren't in the game yet. Those are going to be done. Once all that artwork is done, which I think will probably be done by April or May, we're going to have another alpha. And the way the alphas work is the game will be playable for a month. This allows people to play the game, give me feedback, get an idea of the status, confirm it's not vaporware. And then after the alpha, then it's going to go, I'll make any like bug fixes I need to make. But then after that, it's going to become I'm going to go back into development mode and wait for the beta. The beta is probably going to be sometime around the end of next year. I shouldn't say that, not the beta. Ship combat, which might be the beta, but it could be another alpha, will probably be around the end of next year. And there's a lot of artwork for that. Yeah, it can't be the beta because even after ship combat's in, there's still 3 more races to go: humans, Mershawn, and Klakons. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys the new screens. I wanted to show you some of the Darlok artwork and talk about some other things, and that's all I've got. So thanks for listening, and hopefully I'll have more cool updates for you in the future. Bye.